Hello! So for our next art project, we're going to be doing a sculpture type project. It's going to be very hands-on. And I have an image here for you, and when you see it, the question I have is, what do you see? So take a careful look. I've intentionally left it a little bit small. And most of you, when you first see it, will likely say, oh, it's a pair of shoes, or it's a shoe, the left shoe actually. And some of you might be thinking in your mind, oh, it's a pair of Nike Airs. But if you look a little bit more closely, you might start to notice something. Some of you might say, oh, I see it's got an intricate or a kind of a neat design to it. I see some designs or textures inside of the swoosh, and it looks like it's made of some kind of gold or metal, kind of a leather or plastic. Looks like a designer version of a Nike shoe. And you would be correct to think that. That would make sense. If you look a little bit closer, whoops, you'll see it is a shoe. It's not really a wearable shoe though. If you look at the green parts, you'll notice it's actually made of circuit boards. These are the boards that you often find inside of a computer or inside of a laptop, or if you've ever seen somebody take apart a phone or something like that, you'll see these green pieces of silicon, and then there's all these kind of golden kind of pieces inside that conduct and pass on all the information in the computer that make your phone run and your TV run and probably most things in your house that are electronic. You'll see there's other kinds of materials here. Looks like gears of some sort. This looks like some kind of a mesh. And the title of this sculpture is actually called Junk Dunk. And the junk is obviously a play on the junk dunk is obviously a play on the basketball term junk dunk, right? And I think it's meant to be like a basketball type shoe. And it's by the artist Gabriel Deshaw. He's an American from Indiana. And if you look at the bottom, it gets even more interesting actually. You'll see that the bottom is actually made of an actual what we call a motherboard in a computer. That's where you plug in all these chips, different processors, different pieces of hardware that help a computer do what it needs to do. And in this view, you can see these are actually gears of some sort, metal gears. You can actually see the thickness of the circuit board there and the one underneath. And he's got some type of metal, I think it's sheet metal, that goes around the edge to kind of form what looks like the, what do you call that, the sole, I think, of the shoe. And so he's actually made a real size 9.5 men's facsimile, approximation of a left shoe from what most people would think of as discarded junk. This junk that's kind of been thrown away and is useless. And artists like Gabriel, who are interested in the environment and good design both at the same time, they're a lot of these artists are now taking abandoned objects and turning them into works of art. So things that we would normally think of as garbage, or we would dump out, or we would recycle, they're turning them into works of art. And so you'll see things like old monitors, old printers, that's a really old printer, mice, keyboards, those really big old clunky monitors for computers that you probably haven't seen anymore. He uses things like that. He takes them apart and he finds pieces that he can use to make art. Here's some more of his examples of his work. So he has a series of shoes that he's done, and he's also done a series of masks. And again, these are all made using materials that people no longer want. And so you'll see in the case of the Darth Vader mask, he's got those circuit boards there. I think these almost look like, if you can see, These look like the old keys from a typewriter. See, there's what looks like a H, an A, a V, a Y. You'll see on the back here, these are also keyboard keys, and he's got them here on the shell of Boba Fett's helmet here. This looks like some old used copper here. That looks like a fuse from a fuse in your circuit breaker at home, that you likely have one of those. Not quite sure what he's used for the eyes here, but again, here's more of that metal plating, more of those circuit boards. In this case, he's actually incorporated upcycled Vader. This is his 4th version. This, if you don't recognize, it's Kylo Ren. And you might be wondering, well, who would throw away an old Louis Vuitton bag? My understanding, it's actually the scraps from the factories that they use, because sometimes they're left over with bits that they've printed that they can't use to make a full bag or a full wallet, little bits and pieces that are kind of oddly shaped, and so he's used them. And you'll see the green and red and silvery kind of trim here. I think that's from the trim from different athletic shoes as well, and he's kind of used them and shaped them to give out the kind of visor look for the character Kylo Ren from Star Wars. So he's got a mask series, he's got a shoe series, and he's done other types of work as well. And again, if you look, oh, here we go. If we look more closely, you can kind of see, right? There's keyboard keys, right? I'm not sure what this is, but again, here's more copper plating. And it looks like he looks like he's grabbed several pieces and he kind of pieced them together to make it look like a continuous surface. And there's that Louis Vuitton kind of printed image, and you can kind of see more clearly